Hi and welcome to another what I'm working on video, or should I say what I had worked on. I'm just going to be showing a couple of bits that I worked on a while ago, and I hadn't posted them on YouTube, so I thought I'd upload them and share those. So first up we have a Boosette and a Bowsette, which are sort of spin-off meme characters from the Super Mario series. The whole point with this was basically just to see if I could do this sort of cutesy, big eyes, small mouth, typical anime style, and I just wanted to pull it off because people always say, oh, how should I develop my style, where am I going to be able to find the style that's going to suit me and all this kind of stuff. And for me the joy of creating is often dabbling with different styles and experimenting, and I quite like the fact that every piece that I approach I try and introduce something new, whether it's a completely new style or a new sort of way of creating the line art or the colouring and stuff. So I actually quite like trying out different styles as a way to create art. I mean, it does have its disadvantages. If you are trying to get commissioned or client work, it's good for the customer to know basically what they're going to be getting at the end of it, unless you happen to be so well versed in everything that you can say, oh, I can do stuff like this, I can do stuff like that. So yeah, I had a couple of characters. The reason for the colouring differences, so we have the sort of purpley blue character art, and then like the red or the green for the sort of background elements. That was just to stop the images getting sort of muddy and messy, and sometimes if you just work in the same colour all the time, especially if you work with like pencils or whatever, you start to notice as you rub out and then add in more line work, and then rub that out and then add in more line work, and that constant adding and erasing, it can end up leaving an image looking quite messy and muddy. And it's the same with digital. Once you sort of start erasing certain parts of the image, it can just look a bit confusing. So sometimes I like to just try adding different colours for different parts of the image, just so that I can see it all. It kind of makes more sense, and I think before you colour the image, you kind of get a gist of sort of how things are gonna look better. So after the colouring stage, I moved on to the line art stage. So kind of going with the sort of traditional thin outlines for this. I didn't want to make them too thick. It wasn't an exercise in sort of creating heavy line weights or doing some crazy inking artwork. It was just keeping everything delicate, everything simple, just to sort of go with that whole manga anime sort of theme. And then once the lines were done, I started blocking in the flat tones, the flat colours, and moving on to a little bit of shading. So normally I would do this, I would sort of do this kind of block tone anime cell style shading on a character, even if I was going to go on to airbrush render it, just so that in advance I can kind of see or get a gist of sort of where the lighting goes, and kind of where the shadows will be placed. So it seems like a big jump to go from the cell style to the rendered style, which I'm going to show you in a sec, but it kind of does help me just plan things out. And obviously between the sort of block colour and the final rendered piece, we're talking hours. I wrote an article on my website, bencrafter.com, just basically detailing the times it took me to do each of these stages, so you can check that out if you want. But overall I think it took sort of 50-60 hours for both of these pieces, so it's quite a long process, especially if you want to do that really smooth rendering style without any sort of brush strokes, and make it look as tidy as possible. So once I was at this stage, very happy, kind of feel like, yep, did what I came out to do. And I adjusted a few little bits. Bowsette's mouth on the right there, I think she looked a bit sad. I think she needed more like a sort of cheeky grin, so I added that in. A few other little bits, there's a few other little touch-ups and stuff, and then just general colour corrections just to make the artwork more sort of vibrant, I guess. So yeah, they were done. I was happy with that. I was like, yep, did what I needed to do. And then I later worked on another piece, which was, I just call her Gun Girl. I'm very original with my names. And I wanted to do, for the style of this, I wanted more of a kind of Yukito Kishiro Alita style. So again, sort of big eyes, small mouth, but had a bit more, I think the style has a bit more attitude to it. So I kind of worked on that again with sort of using the different colours just to sort of not mess things up or confuse myself as I was sort of planning out the sketch. And then from there I could then move on to the line art. Some of the lines I made a little bit thicker than others, and thought a little bit more about line weight and stuff for this one. So yeah, that was looking pretty cool. And then moved on to laying in the flat colours. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at this stage. I kind of thought pink and black generally, but I mean, that's what typically happens. I kind of have a general idea, but it doesn't really matter because I do each different separate colour on a different layer within Photoshop. So if ever I want to adjust the hue or the colour of a particular part, like the hair or the colour of the bows or whatever it is, it's very easy to just select the layer, choose a different colour, mix it up if I want on the fly. So then again, big jump straight to the rendered stuff. So it normally takes half the time sketching, doing the line art, flattening the colours, and that includes like a bit of research beforehand, like figuring out exactly what I'm going to do, and maybe looking at some reference images of different styles and stuff. And then the next half is all just rendering. Rendering's just very labour intensive, but it's what really makes the image stand out and pop. I mean, the line art, yeah, that looks pretty cool on its own, but as soon as you kind of add those colours to it, it just goes poof and hits you. So I decided I would just add a little background. I always think things that darker are better on the darker background. Not necessarily, but generally for the sort of style I do, it normally pops the contrast out, especially if you've got like a character or a figure with a sort of lighter skin tone, and then everything kind of darkens down towards the background. So yeah, I was happy with that. I did it about a year ago or so, and I kind of thought at the time, I reckon this is one of the best sort of portrait characters I've done. I was quite happy with it at the time, and yeah, I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. So I then thought, well, if I like it, maybe other people will like it. So I put the Bowsette and the Booette onto art prints, and they are available on my website, as well as the Gun Girl. And then I went to this printer who I heard about at a comic convention. Someone said that they did like these cool metallic prints. So I spoke to them in the end, and they did do some metallic prints for me. So I got one of Bowsette, one of Boosette or Booette, and one of the Gun Girl. So I'm gonna have to do like a separate video of these, I think, because they do look really cool, and I feel like I need to film them and sort of like rotate them so you can see how the light sort of shines on them. But yeah, they look really good. Like, I like shiny things anyway. I think like my style is very kind of glossy, high contrast, and then if you can add a bit of extra shine with a bit of metallic, I think that looks pretty cool. So anyway, cheers for checking it out, and hopefully I'll be posting some more bits that I've either worked on or am working on in the near future. Thanks.